Well, let's see what happens. At some point, this should start working. There we go. All right, so we are nominally live. Hopefully everything is working. There's going to be probably some experimenting here on the stream because I have the vaguest idea what I'm doing. But the idea behind this stream, and welcome if you're not familiar with the channel, I am Ardwulf. I am primarily a YouTuber who does YouTube videos on tabletop war games. But I do RPGs too, so I'm kind of trying to open that up a little bit. And I'm trying to experiment with Twitch, which means, again, I have no idea what I'm doing. The idea behind this stream is that back in the day when we used to play RPGs late into the wee hours, no matter how late we played, 2, 3, 4, whatever it was in the morning, we would hang out in the parking lot afterwards, chit-chatting about RPGs and war games and whatever. And this is intended to replicate that experience. So we are here to just talk about war games or RPGs, which are the two things that I'm vaguely qualified to actually talk about, and pretty much anywhere. And I'm going to blather, and if we get users in chat, which hopefully will happen, maybe today, maybe not, we're going to go for roughly an hour. We'll see what happens. If there are 50 people in chat asking questions, an hour in, then I could certainly extend it, but I would be pretty stunned if that were to happen. The first thing I want to do is share some stuff to Twitter. Let's see. I don't know if this even fucking works, to be honest. We appear to be live, which is great. That appears to be working. There appears to be basically nobody in the chat, I think. If there's any issues with the sound or video, please pipe up in the chat, by the way. I think it's working. I did like 15, 30-second test streams before we started this, and after much hemming and hawing, they more or less worked. So, what I don't know how to do is to just like share this stream at the end, because I want people to know that we're doing this. And I can, let's see here, share. Okay. All right, I think that fucking worked. I don't know. So anyway, there will be profanity because that's the kind of thing we did back in the day. So let's talk about me and the channel and by channel, in this case, I mean the YouTube channel, which is substantially more active than I have ever been on Twitch. I have streamed a couple of times on Twitch in a very amateurish way, but haven't really done a lot with the platform, and I'd like to explore it. And I think there's room for this. So, what's new with me in tabletop gaming? So, I spent most of the last 5 weeks working 12 to 16-hour shifts at work. So very little gaming was done, and what was done was just online or video game stuff that I could play for half an hour and before I passed out. So all of the regular wargaming stuff that I do was on hold while we unfucked the situation at work. So that was unsatisfying. Just this past week, I got back to the Wednesday game, which currently is GMT's 3 Days of Gettysburg. There are pictures of that in my Twitch feed, not Twitch, but Twitter feed, if you want to check that out. I'm not really sure how to have like a channel description. I'm sure that's there somewhere. I'm sure I can do that. I got to figure it out. So I will eventually have like links and stuff, but not at this time. So. Checking the thing here. Let's see. This is going to tell me that there's 2 people watching, I believe. Yeah, this says that there's 2 people watching, which I believe is some kind of Twitch mod and me, basically. So anyway, if you look at this video later, and I will post it on YouTube as well, then this is just me talking about games. So if you want to buckle in for an hour, welcome. And if you find this kind of thing super duper boring, then I completely understand. And I have other content on the YouTube channel, at least, that is less dull. So anyway, I got back to 3 days of Gettysburg this week. I think we're just at the end of the first day of the 3 days of Gettysburg. And we're finding the system, it basically works. It's fine. There's nothing really wrong with it. I may do a video review on this later. But it's somewhat unsatisfying. We've ended up with a battle that doesn't really look much like the historical Battle of Gettysburg. I think the Union is kind of fucked at this point, so we're kind of close, I think, within a couple sessions of calling it, unless something fairly miraculous happens, like Dan Sickles actually does save the Union. It's kind of what it's down to. Sickles' fourth Corps, I think, is coming in, and the Confederates have kind of cut him off because Sickles was not aggressive enough, and believe it or not. I think it's not really going to work out. Not sure what we're playing next. I think next week is going to be the unofficial pitch day for the next game. Next week, this coming week, I intend to get back to our Tuesday game, which is Beyond the Rhine, OCS, MMP, and the Gamers. That game was a lot of fun. I'm playing the Commonwealth. It's a bitch as the Commonwealth, I will say that. Very challenging. The Commonwealth, especially the Commonwealth, but really the Allies in general, kind of need to execute perfectly in that game in the first 3 or 4 turns, or things are not really going to work out. And I certainly did not execute perfectly. So we'll see how that goes. We may be not terribly distant from calling that as well. So new pickups. We have this heavy-ass thing, Space Corp 2025 to 2300 AD, from designer John Butterfield at GMT Games. Very interested in that. There will be an unboxing video of that tomorrow, Monday, April 21st, on the YouTube channel, so check that out. Haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it looks so straightforward to getting into it that actually might happen this afternoon. However, I would rotate the camera and show you the rest of the room, but it is an unmitigated disaster right now because I'm in the middle of sort of fixing up the game space again. So in the car is a large quantity of stuff from IKEA that needs to be unloaded and assembled. There's a new desk. There's a of which a small portion is up here and constructed already. Excuse me. But there's a new desk. There's another Kallax bookcase. I have plans to replace all these bookshelves you see behind you here are like $29 bookshelves from Walmart. $29 being the regular price and not what I paid for them. So they are of exceptionally low quality. You can see, I think, the sag even in this shelf, which has Wargames on it. These are not heavy games, okay? These are super low quality. They're mounting to the wall. It's absolutely Mickey Mouse. I totally got what I paid for when I paid $20 a piece for these things, which is an unbeatable price, but, again, you get what you pay for. So I want to replace all this shelving, and I've got part of that underway already. I've just replaced 2, I've put more bookcases. I bought the Kallax bookcases from IKEA, the cubes that every gamer seems to have. But they're super practical for gaming, and they will stand up to RPGs or wargames or whatever, and the dimensions on them are such that I can actually fit that stuff on the shelf, which is nice. So you're going to get hopefully some pictures of that when it's closer to done, but it's going to be kind of a big project. And even just the stuff I got in the car is going to take me a few hours to put together. The Kallaxes themselves are pretty easy to build. They're also kind of easy to screw up, but I mean, if you screw it up, you take it apart, put it back together, and it's not that big of a deal. So, and I really like them so far. These are the first IKEA bookshelf, game shelf units that I have. I managed to get about 10 boxes of games out of the closet, almost all of which were RPGs. I have 6 more. So that's why I needed 1 more Kallax, and then I need the Kallaxes to replace these things, which is going to result in a net shelf footage gain. But being a war gamer, I've actually calculated the amount of shelf inches on these things and the amount of shelf inches on the things that are going to replace them. And there will be a net shelf gain, but a whole bunch of things have to happen first, not least of which is me buying more bookshelves. So, anyway, as far as wargaming goes, RPGs have been something that I'll get to wargaming. I have been primarily a wargamer for the last several years. I've still done RPGs here and there, mostly at like Origins and stuff like that. I'll hop into some RPG sessions, but mostly I've been doing wargames, and that's just because that's what I've been doing. It's not that I'm not interested in RPGs; it's just that I don't have a group. So I have spent a decent amount of my discretionary income and then some of over the last month or so picking up odds and ends as far as RPG stuff goes. Mostly D&D 5th edition stuff, which I was behind on. I needed a monster manual and a DMG, for example, so I bought those. I bought a couple adventures, bought a couple of third-party supplements, all of which I'm happy with, and some of which you will see video on the YouTube channel for. There's already a little bit of that where I did a kind of sort of a flip through of the Dungeon Master's Guide, and I'm kind of going to do that with some other products as well. Just looking at the thing, I'm trying to figure out how this even works here. But I've also got another product coming. So we'll see. I'll do some kind of flip through or unboxing. It's actually sort of justifies an unboxing. Kind of hard to do an unboxing of an RPG when it's just a book, but this is a little more than just a book. So we'll see what that looks like when it gets here. In the meantime, I also picked up another game which I should have brought over here to show. It's called Mythros. It is from Design Mechanism, and it is essentially a retitled and relaid out version of their RuneQuest 6th edition rules, which I looked at and I was trying to get, and I never managed to actually locate a copy in stock friggin' anywhere. And then Chaosium kind of pulled all the RuneQuest licensing and back in-house, so they lost it, so they kept the system alive, which is great because I like the looks of it a lot. And they renamed it Mythros, and there's a fairly extensive product line to support this too, actually, although some of it still says RuneQuest on it. But still, I got the hardcover. It was relatively cheap. It was $20-some. I got it on Amazon. Not the greatest place to buy RPGs for any number of reasons, but certain things you can get there at a very reasonable price. And I've seen D&D 5th edition stuff on Amazon at a very reasonable price here and there too. So anyway, I got to keep the fuel going. So this stuff tastes fucking terrible, by the way. Anyway, so I would much rather go to the local game store. Local game store can't get some of the stuff I want right now, and Amazon doesn't have some of the stuff I want right now, and neither does any other online outlet, unless I want to order it directly from the manufacturer, which I may end up doing. Or I may end up simply ordering it or going to Origins and buying it from their booth. That actually seems like the most likely occurrence at this point. So Origins is coming up. It is the first week, I'm pretty sure, it's the first week of June. It is here in Columbus, Ohio. I will do a preview video of Origins, just like I did last year. I'll do a preview, and then I'll do a wrap video, and then in between there may be some live video from the show. I'd kind of like to do that. I kind of wanted to do that last year, and it's kind of... And I did actually do a little bit, but it got put... Let me adjust here. It got put on Twitter, where not that many people saw it, so I really should have stuck that stuff on YouTube instead. So we'll see. I may just do scattered videos and then kind of slap it together at the end of the day and post it and see what it looks like. So who knows? But we'll see. Ardwulf's Lair will be at Origins 2019. So and once again, every year I say, I'm going to run stuff next year at Origins. And every year I check on running stuff, and it's after the deadline to submit events. So, and that happened again this year. So it looks like I'll be there one way or the other. I live in Columbus, Ohio, so I would be an idiot to not go. It's a show that I've always enjoyed. I have been going with, I think I missed 2 Origins for a couple of different reasons. One of it was physical infirmity, and the other one I was in Mexico, actually, for work. But I have missed 2 Origins since Origins 95, which was the last Origins that was not in Columbus. It was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If anyone is watching from Philly, I love you, but your city is a shithole. So, at least at the time, at these days, there's all that gentrification and stuff going on. So, it may be fabulous now. I have no idea. Certainly, Columbus was no bed of roses back in 1995 either. So, it looked like the set of the Warriors. So, when I was there, we were in this beautiful new convention center. It was also like 105 degrees while we were there too, so that was kind of a factor. We really didn't leave the hotel because A, it was 105 degrees, and B, it was surrounded by condemned buildings and peep shows. So it was weird and creepy and all that stuff. If anybody hops into the stream, by the way, it looks like we have 0 viewers at this time, which is fine. I didn't necessarily expect tons of people to hop into this. I'm just trying to get to the damn thing where I can see it. So that looks like it's working. Congratulations. I'm watching a commercial on my own Twitch channel. Thanks, Twitch. Love that. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't find time in Philly for Origins as a dealer, actually, or with a dealer. And it was fun, but man, and we drove there, and it was a bad drive, and we drove through some real bad parts of town to get to this place, and it was an interesting experience to say the least. But I've been going to Origins every year since then, and it's a great show. Despite and not because of Gamma's acumen in running it, and I could make a number of complaints, but fundamentally, what it boils down to really is that Gamma is not a organization that is in the business of running conventions, and it shows every year. They used to have Andon running it, and they ran it much better, but then it became a political thing where Andon got bought by Wizards of the Coast or by some spin-off of Wizards of the Coast or something. I don't remember the details, and I'm not going to look them up. And it became untenable to have Andon continue to run the show. So as I think Wizards was no longer a member of Gamma at the time. I might be misremembering that, so don't quote me on any of that. So it was a spectacle, and they kind of made there's some kind of major catastrophe every year with the running and administration of Origins. It just shows that Gamma is not really in the business of running conventions for the public. I mean, maybe the Gamma trade show I think it's in Las Vegas. I've never been there. It might be fabulous. It might be very well run, but it's a trade show. Gamma is a trade organization. They might well be much better at running that type of show than they are at running a convention for the public that draws like 15 or 20 or 25,000 or whatever it is people. It sets attendance records every year. A lot of this is due to the board game boom. Board gaming is very much driving the center of activity at Origins, but that said, there's still a lot of other stuff at Origins. There's wargaming, not as much as there used to be. This is something I talk about every year. But there is still wargaming at Origins. I will be spending a significant amount of time hanging around with a group called Armchair Dragoons. They will be running the wargaming area on the show floor again, and part of the War College, which is now sort of part of the Greater Origins University educational track. But they put on a great show. I did a lot with them last year. I'd actually like to do some interview type stuff, but I said that at Winterfest Wargaming as well, and I did get some interview footage, and at the end it just turned out to be not usable footage, unfortunately. So how to clear that out. Sorry about that. So I got like Con Funk at Winterfest in February, and I'm still not quite 100% over it, to be completely honest. So I'm going to move this just a second here. All right, so I think we're live. We've been live, so we still got 2 people watching. Hi, me, and random Twitter bot that's monitoring. The objective here, let me revisit this for those who might tune in just now, is if you remember back in the day when you used to play RPGs or war games or whatever late into the night. And then you'd wrap up, and then you'd go out to the parking lot and be loading stuff in your car and continue to chat about those games and other types of games or whatever for another couple hours in some cases. This is intended to replicate that experience. So for people who watch gaming, tabletop gaming specifically, but whatever, on Twitch and want to just chat about it, this is intended to be a place where you can do that. Even if that stuff's video games. I know video games are largely what Twitch does, but there's an increasing tabletop presence on Twitch, so it would be remiss of me to not have like a general open forum where people can ask questions or get recommendations or get the chat people in the chat can help each other. So I've categorized this as Dungeons and Dragons just because there isn't a better one, I don't think. I may change everything about this format. My intention is to do this on Sunday. We'll see how long that goes. I'll at least do it for the next few Sundays, and we'll see how it goes. Work blowing up permitting, that could happen. So, but that aside, it's my intention to kind of collect here at noon Eastern. This is my noon Eastern. That is 4 p.m. UTC on Sundays, and we'll see how it goes. My wife is working right now, so I've really got nothing better to do except, of course, build IKEA furniture. So I could be doing that. So those of you who have seen my shelves before, and if you're followers of me on social media, you definitely will notice that the shelves behind me have been slightly rearranged to what they held before. There's some RPG stuff on the top now, and there's some mostly still war games. This is all GMT, and the next shelf down is still all GMT, and then the next shelf down that you can't see is still all GMT. And then the bottom shelf is miscellaneous publishers, and there's a shelf of decision stuff as well. So this is kind of an interim solution. It is somewhat designed for me to take pictures in front of it, but at the same time, and I'm really happy with the shot framing here, I gotta say. I've done an excellent job with shot framing. This looks super professional. Even if all the rest of it is me just bullshitting for an hour. Which is fine. That's kind of the point until we get a conversation rolling. So I emptied out one of these cheapy bookshelves, which you can't see in the shot. It was RPGs. Those got pushed over to the two new Calyx 3x3 units, plus some more stuff ended up on there that came out of the closet, and then that shelf unit has now been repurposed for more war games. I've got all my ASL stuff on there, so I've never really shown it off, but sometime in 2018 I bought a complete Avalon Hill set of Advanced Squad Leader. And except for Paratroopers, the only thing that's not in there. So I've got like everything for ASL now of the original run from Avalon Hill. There's even a Doom Battalions and Avalon Hill Doom Battalions in there. Which was the very last thing that they did. One of the very last things that Avalon Hill did, actually, was Doom Battalions for ASL, which at the time was like the second to last ASL module. The last one was going to be Armies of Oblivion, which was going to complete the Axis Miners. It was several years before the inheritor of the Avalon Hill mantle for Advanced Squad Leader got to that, which is Armies of Oblivion, which I just actually picked up. The latest reprint of Armies of Oblivion, not just, this was like mid last year, whenever it came out. I pre-ordered it. I am now, even though ASL appears for all intents and purposes to be my retirement game, meaning I'm only going to get to play it once I retire, if that ever happens. I'm pretty much putting every ASL product, even the reprints, unless it's something I actually have, on pre-order. Now, the next thing for Advanced Squad Leader that will be out will be ASL Starter Kit number 4, which is the Pacific Starter Kit, which will be super interesting to see. I really like ASL Starter Kit, actually. I don't have as much of it as I would like. I have the expansion, so it's basically a scenario pack, one of a couple that they've done, and I have Starter Kit number 1, and that's it. I regret not picking up the historical starter kit module that they did. That was unfortunate. I just kind of missed it. It was just never there. with me and my money at the same time. But starter kit number 4 is coming. That's going to be super interesting to see. I'm very curious to see how much additional stuff from full ASL lands in starter kit number 4. So as far as the infantry stuff is concerned, really the big things that... So segueing into the ASL discussion now. And the differences between what's called full ASL, meaning the whole huge 900-page rulebook, and the starter kit rules. But the starter kit is basically a complete game on its own. You could keep playing that, as far as I'm concerned, and it's a perfectly fine game. It's fun. You don't have to graduate. But when we're talking about moving up to full ASL, you include a lot of corner cases and special rules and different types of scenarios, like night scenarios and scenarios with sewers and tunnels and all that stuff. These little details are added in full ASL. But as far as the core game mechanics, the only things that are really missing, and these are significant factors in full ASL, right? So there's definitely a different tactical approach to full ASL versus starter kit because of these things. Are bypass movement, by which you can move around the terrain in a hex, snipers, and concealment. And as far as the infantry stuff goes, that's basically what's missing. And there's some other odds and ends, but those are less important. They have less impact on the way you tactically play ASL. So it is my feeling that you're not really going to get a decent Pacific experience if you don't have at least 2 of those things. Bypass movement, you're not really going to be... The scenarios that you think you are going to play in ASL Pacific aren't necessarily the ones you're going to actually get, but, I mean, you're going to be fighting in the jungle, digging Japanese infantry out of caves and stuff like that. Those things, I think, can't really be done correctly without bringing some more stuff in from full ASL. Now, each successive starter kit, each of which is standalone, you don't have to start with starter kit number 1, brings more stuff in. So, starter kit number 1 is infantry, leaders, support weapons, very basic scenarios, okay? Starter kit number 2 brings in ordnance, so artillery and big guns and stuff like that. Starter kit number 3 brings in vehicles. If you have the historical module, then that basically is starter kit number 3 rules plus some special stuff for that historical situation. And then so each kit brings in more stuff, right? Each kit brings you closer to full ASL. And by the time, if you've played through all the scenarios in 1, all the scenarios in 2, all the scenarios in 3, and now all the scenarios in 4, which will be out sometime in the next 6 weeks, I think, then you're going to be pretty close to knowing the whole game, right? There's just going to be a lot of weird cases and very specialized types of terrain and specialized situations like paratroopers dropping and things like that, and landing craft, things that aren't going to come up in every scenario anyway, that you'll need to refer to, you'll need to learn from the full ASL rulebook. I don't have any of the stuff within reach right now, or I would grab it. But I think ASL Starter Kit is a really brilliant distillation of that huge-ass rulebook. But it's really a very straightforward reduction of it, because all it is just the basic infantry rules with a subset of the types of terrain that aren't very complicated, scenarios that aren't very complicated, troop types that aren't very complicated. So a lot of the odds and ends, and we leave out, for starter kit number 1, we leave out guns and vehicles and things like that. At some point, I've got to get my hands on starter kits 2 and 3. I mean, just for the scenarios and boards, if nothing else. But I've never seemed to be able to do that because my Multiman reprints them, and in 3 months they're all out of print again. Which kind of says to me, I'm going to complain about this, yes, Multiman. It kind of says to me that they're not printing enough of them, right? If you are consistently, year after year after year after year, printing them, they're out of print in 3 months, they spend another year out of print, you're really not printing enough of them. That's also true of Yanks and the ASL rulebook. That's something that should never really be out of print. I understand if they cannot offer it in an electronic format due to the limitations of their license with Hasbro. That may, I don't know if that's true, but that's certainly believable. But it's out of print all the time, and it's actually quite difficult to get into ASL by buying the products, because a lot of the important products, the core products, are out of print a lot more often than they're in print. And I'm not talking about, the Armies of Oblivion, for example. It's like, well, I mean, if I want to play the Slovakians or something like that, then I really need Armies of Oblivion. But come on, no, sorry Slovakia, but no. I mean, it's a minor corner of World War II in Europe, and when people, I think most people who are buying ASL want to see the Germans fighting Americans, and Germans fighting British, and Germans fighting Russians. Really. I think we do have a reprint of King and Country, or For King and Country, which is the British module, coming this year as well, which will be very nice to have. I have the old stuff, the old Avalon Hill stuff, but the new stuff's nicer. The print's a little clearer on the counters. The die cutting is far superior on the counters, I'll tell you that. I have a super low opinion of late period, and by late period I mean like mid 80s on Avalon Hill die cutting. Ironically, Avalon Hill was a printing company. They're owned by their printer. They printed all their stuff in-house. They did all their own die cutting. It is garbage. The late period stuff. If you're talking about stuff from the early 70s or the late 60s, that's different. But I think they just never really replaced the dies. Just sort of the memory of clipping and punching those old ASL counters when they were originally printed was just, I don't want to revisit that. So that's one reason why my Avalon Hill ASL stuff remains largely still unorganized, awaiting reprints. And I have at this point reprints. I have the reprint of Beyond Valor, I have the reprint of Yanks, the reprint of Armies of Oblivion, plus 2 of the more recent historical modules that Multiman has done. I've got Hakapala, which is the Finnish module, which is kind of ridiculous, but I got it anyway. The historical modules that I have are Red Factories, which just came out. I had an unboxing video of this, and the video failed. So my camera cut the video out halfway through, and I'm like, and I missed the whole thing. So I just like, you know what? I'm not reconstructing it, and that's happened to me several times. Nobody really wanted to see that unboxing video anyway. It wouldn't have been the first unboxing video. I will do an unboxing of Starter Kit number 4 when it comes out. I am relatively early in the order queue on that. Relatively early. I jumped on it and pre-ordered it the minute I found out about it, and I was still number 80 or something like that. So I should be, my thing should be shipped in the first day or two whenever it comes out. But anyway, I have Red Factories, which is the old Red Barricades along with the new module Red October, which covers a huge format section of Stalingrad Factory District to fight over. And that's a really cool campaign. I played Red Barricades back in the day. Of course, I had Red Barricades along with all this other Avalon Hill stuff. Back in the day, I sold it all off like an idiot. And then in the last year, I bought it all again. I got a hell of a deal on it, so it's not like I paid, I went to eBay and bought a $1,500 collection, thank God. I had a buddy that's got extra stuff. He wanted to get rid of it, so I'm like, yep, I'll take it, no problem. And I think I paid $400 for it, $300, something like that. It was a very nice deal. So I have everything now. I've also got Hatton and Flames, which was the historical module that they kind of rushed out. I haven't really looked at it very closely. Red Factories, at least I can say, hey, I played half of this back in the day, so I have some familiarity with it. I also noticed, as an aside, that the framing of the shot in OBS is slightly different than the framing of the shot in... I guess it isn't. I think I need to frame a little better, or, more likely, I just need to sit up. I think that's a little better. Yeah. Okay, anyway, trying to get like a 60 minutes shot thing going here. I have no idea what I'm doing. I am not a professional video guy. For all that I've been doing videos for years on YouTube, I'm an absolutely amateur hour video person, video editor, video anything. So that this is working at all is something of a miracle. Anyway, we're about 35 minutes in. I have no viewers, so that's okay. I'm happy. I love to hear myself talk, so I'm happy to just sit here and talk games, get it out of my system for an hour or so. So what else has come up lately? A lot of my attention span has been tied up with this reorganization thing. And of course, I kind of reorganized everything back here, and it's all going to have to get done again. This is an upstairs. It's not an attic per se. It's kind of an attic actually. But I do have like semi full height ceilings with straight walls in some parts of it, but I don't have like a full ceiling height. So, for example, when you go to IKEA and you look at the IKEA bookcases, you got the Billy bookcases that everybody buys. Those don't actually fit in this room. The ceiling is too low. Even the lowest one will like exactly fit here in the ceiling space, which means that you can't actually put that in this room because you can't build it vertically, and when you tip it up, it will hit the ceiling, and you won't be able to stand it up. So this is why I went with the Calexes, even though in terms of space efficiency, the Billies are better. Because I would get absolute complete floor-to-ceiling shelving from the Billies. But if you were to look up, and I've shown this in pictures, I'm not going to show it right now. There's stuff stacked on top of these shelves, so it's not like I'm losing that space, right? On top of the Calexes, and I'll do some video of this once it's done and the room doesn't look like shit. Then I will. I've got some stuff stacked on top of the Calexes too, but the Calexes are on a part of the wall where the wall is short. The wall's not much taller than 3 feet, so they actually fit almost exactly under where that wall cuts off. These are the 3x3s, so they're roughly 3 feet and a few inches high. But nevertheless, they look great. They're not really as sturdy as they look, but they look really sturdy. They are not really durable material. They are a particle board and a hollow core board. But nevertheless, if I have to if I move, I can unscrew them from the wall and move them. I mean, they're not like huge full-size bookcases, which are kind of a bear to move, kind of easy to bang up. I had these really pretty nice full-size bookcases that I bought years ago, and in the course of 3 moves, they got wrecked. So, I mean, I lost one in every move, and now there's one left, and it's in my living room, and it's a nice bookcase, but it's a particle board bookcase. So, yeah, I like IKEA. We went yesterday, and I bought this desk replacement. I have not had an actual desk in like 25 years or something like that. I have been, in that entire time, using folding tables. And you know what? That's fine. As a desk surface, that works. But the fact is I don't have any storage under the desk. So I don't have drawers or anything like that. I've got this plastic cabinet that's just kind of filled with crap. I have actual drawers in the new desk. It's gonna be nice. I just have to put it all together. So the project after the stream's over actually is to go get this heavy ass box out of the car and start putting that drawer unit together, because the desktop is just stick it on top and then you're done. So, and then of course I got to move this stuff out of the way into where I have no idea, because the whole room is cluttered up with crap right now. But I, of course, have to take the computers down and the computer down and move it to the new desk. I'll eventually do like a video on my game space. I'm just not quite there yet, and probably won't be there for another couple of months, to be honest. So a whole bunch of things have to happen. I've got to replace these shelves. I've got to get this carpet like professionally scrubbed because it's gross, and yet it is like actually mounted carpet, so I can't just roll it up, and take it out to the street and replace it with squares or something, which otherwise I would be happy to do. Also need to replace the blinds in here, thinking about it. These blinds are ancient and they look terrible, and some of them are just busted. But that's not a particularly giant project, to be honest, putting up blinds. So I've been watching. I'm going to commend to you, and I will link this channel in the YouTube video description. I don't know how to do that for Twitch. Making a small adjustment here. I don't know how to do that for Twitch, but I'm going to recommend that you go check out Evil Dr. Ganymede's channel. Now, he was a fella that I knew back in the day from RPGNet, and now does a number of... So, there's like people in the chat now, so welcome everybody. Thanks for stopping by. This is... Let me talk about that in a minute. So, Evil Dr. Ganymede, he has a channel on Twitch, he has a channel on YouTube, so go check that out. I'll put links where I can. If you want to see a playthrough of a whole bunch of stuff, but in particular, playthrough content of Space Corp. No, not Space Corp. Space Empires 4X. Which I have right here in the shelf you can't see. He just got into Space Empires 4X, which is a fantastic game. And I recommend it to everybody. So if you have any questions or anything you'd like to talk about, feel free to mention it in the chat. So the idea behind the chat here is that if you remember back in the day when you used to play to whatever holy crap o'clock in the morning, and yet you would still hang around in the parking lot after gaming all those hours and bullshit about games, that's what we're doing here. So right now, that's basically me talking, but... that's the idea behind this chat. It's just a place where you can go after your game, whenever that was, or after the game that you watched, whenever that was, or wherever that was on YouTube or Twitch or whatever it is, and hang out and chat about that. We can talk about Wargames, which I'm into. We can talk about tabletop role-playing games, which I am into. We can even talk about video games if you want. That's okay. I do play video games. In fact, right before the stream, I was playing... what's kind of turned out to be my favorite, like, low-maintenance video game, which I might stream, actually, but my upstream bandwidth is fine for this, but not really great for video game streaming, but I might try it anyway and see how it works. Empyrean Galactic Survival, which is something that I have spent a shitload of time in, largely in creative mode, just building ships and stuff. So I was farting around in that this morning. As I mentioned, I am Ardwulf. If you're a newcomer to the channel, I have a channel called Ardwulf's Lair on YouTube. There is also a blog called Ardwulf's Lair on WordPress, which is mostly fallow, to be honest about it. I don't really write that much anymore. I fell out of that habit when I was working full-time and going to school full-time and didn't have time to do anything. Which is also why I kind of got out of gaming, not willingly, for a few years, because I just didn't have time to do anything. I mean, I needed the weekend to catch up on sleep. Over the last 5 weeks at work, we have very much replicated that schedule with 16-hour days, which is a long story that I'm not at liberty to talk about, but suffice it to say I work in IT. We had a major crisis, and it required all hands on deck for about 4 weeks, 24/7 of IT work to get our stuff unfucked. So no gaming happened other than the occasional half hour or so of Empyrean during that time. So I would like to welcome everybody. Check out the YouTube channel too. I will at some point figure out how to put links in places, but I haven't yet. But if you go to YouTube and search for Ardwulf's Lair, Ardwulf, you'll find me. I'm that guy. So mostly I've been doing unboxing videos on the YouTube channel lately, and that's largely because they are easy. I do have another unboxing video of Space Corp, which looks pretty fantastic. That will be up tomorrow. I've actually already done it. I bought the game yesterday. Haven't tried to play it yet. I kind of doing it this game space renovation right now, and I don't want to set something up. But it looks like the kind of thing I could set up and literally be playing within about 15 minutes, which is great. Just not quite ready. I don't have the space to do it right now. I'm lucky I managed to do this. So next project after the stream here is to go and get that sorted out. So again, welcome new people in the stream. So come on back next Sunday. I'm going to do this for at least the next 3 to 4 Sundays. We'll see how it goes. Could be that we'll stick with this time. Could be that we'll move to a different time slot. This is probably an awkward time slot unless you're in, like, the Azores or someplace like that. I don't know, or Moscow maybe. So this might not be a time that ends up working, but we'll stick with it for now because that's what I picked, and we'll see how it goes. I would actually like in the long run to get some like an RPG online type thing going. That is completely up in the air as to when that would happen, what it would be. I have no format. I'm not ready to run anything. So whenever, I'd like that to happen, but I also don't have players, so there's that. So, but we'll see what happens. In the meantime, I just kind of wanted to create a space in which people could bullshit about games without necessarily having to adhere to a format. Which is why, if anybody has any comments or questions or desire for a recommendation or wants to know why I have such a terrible haircut, say so in the chat. In any case, let's back to the bullshit. So what do we have behind us here? So I kind of, like I mentioned, I am kind of cognizant of photography when I set this up, and I very carefully framed the camera shot too. So on purpose, the stuff that's behind me, on the top shelf especially, and this is all going to get reorganized, is kind of there on purpose. I kind of put Rollmaster up here because I love Rollmaster. I haven't played it in years, but there was a time when my main game was Rollmaster. And you know what? We had a lot of fun with that. At some point in the not very distant future, I'm going to have a YouTube video about Rollmaster, by the way, because it's a game that's often misunderstood and mischaracterized by gamers who really ought to be a little more careful with their analysis. Up here I've got miscellaneous stuff, and to some extent it's stuff that I put here on purpose to show off. I got Call of Cthulhu up here. We've got RuneQuest up here. You'll notice I don't really have that much of either of these games. And then some miscellaneous things. Some of this stuff's some of this stuff back here is here for reference, because I'm referencing it. But some of it's just stuff that didn't fit anywhere else right now. I will eventually have an actual plan. So, regarding the layout of where everything is at, but at the moment, everything is at where it fits. So, because I don't have the free shelf space to put it anywhere else right now. Again, project ongoing. Construction materials are out in the car after IKEA yesterday. So, it's a big car. So I'd like to reorganize the room. I've got also a decent number of like non-Wargame board games that I would like to be able to shelve instead of sticking them in a drawer, which is where they currently are now. As far as what's eating space, I guess Twilight Imperium's not fitting on those Calyx shelves, huh? Thinking about it. Yeah. Anyway, I don't have the new version of Twilight Imperium. I have the last 3rd edition, which is a fabulous game. I get to play it once every 5 years or so, but it's a fabulous game. But I also have 3 of the 4 sets of the Pathfinder Adventure card game, which I also like quite a bit. And that is not shelvable at this time. And actually, I should check and see if I can even get those on the Calyx shelves. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. In any event, one of the shelving, as an addendum to the room renovation, what I ended up getting was 2 of these Linmon tabletops from IKEA. And it's basically, you buy the tabletop in a variety of different sizes and buy whatever legs you want, or whatever you want to put it on. Those can be little cabinets or whatever. And then you set it up yourself. So the smallest size of that, the tabletop costs like $13 or $14. And 4 of the cheapest legs cost $4 a piece. So for approximately $30, in a couple of different colors, you can have a table that is a small table and comfortably fits one standard size Wargame map. I have a hunch that some folks might be using these as their gaming tables, because if you bought 4 of these, you would have the space for, you'd have 4 uniform tables that happen to fit a 4-map game and can be reconfigured if depending on how the 4 maps are configured. So that's a super interesting thing, and I'm actually would kind of like to do a video on that. That is the part that's put together, is that small Linman, I don't know, I'm not Swedish, table. And I actually tested it out just to see, this looks almost exactly the right size. And it's going to be part of my desk, but it looked almost exactly the same size as a Wargame map, and it turns out it will comfortably fit a standard size Wargame map. So with about 6 or 8 inches in the long dimension to spare, and about 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 both top and bottom in the short dimension. So that's something I'm going to be looking at. I have always preferred the use of folding tables, and at this point, right now, there are 4 folding tables in this room, 2 of which are filled with crap, and 2 of which are my current desk. So that's the idea to replace that, is to kind of tidy up the desk space. And the desk space is not untidy right now. It's just that it's taking up more space than it needs to. It's really awkward. You can't see this, but right here, to get into the desk area around this bookcase is about an 8-inch space that my fat ass has a lot of trouble squeezing through. And if there's stuff stacked on the desk at the time, then I can't squeeze through it. So that's a problem. This will fix all that. Especially when these things get replaced. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's going to be an ongoing project. It's not like I'm going to finish it today, and it's not like this carload of stuff is from IKEA is like the last. There'll be at least 1 or 2 more, but we'll see when exactly that happens. The other hot topic, timetable-wise, is Origins, which is coming up in 6 or 7 weeks. It is the first week in June here in Columbus, Ohio. So on the YouTube channel, we will definitely feature a preview video for that, and we'll do a wrap video at the end as well. To and analyze the show. And there I may do live video from the show. I talk about it every year, and I did do a little bit last year that ended up on Twitter. And just it looked like crap, so it's like, it's on Twitter, who cares? But I'll put it on. I'd like something for YouTube this year. That said, I do not have like professional video equipment either, so all my video gets taken on my phone. So if it's not the world's greatest video, that's why. What else do we have here? We're getting close to being out of time. Another nice thing about the live stream format is that by definition, you don't have to edit it. And I lose a lot of time in editing with most types of videos. Even the simple unboxing video that I did yesterday, I had to edit it, and then it took half an hour to render it. And it's like a 12-minute video. So it's not super duper long. That's something I should look at, is why is my graphics card, my relatively expensive graphics card, not helping with video rendering time? And it's not going to make a miracle difference. I mean, CPU is probably a bigger factor, I think. But again, I could be wrong about all of this. And if I am, and you want to mention it in the chat, feel free, but I will probably forget it at the earliest opportunity. So that's a thing. What else do we have? So there will be, on the YouTube channel, in the first week of May, a channel update video. In that channel update video, this is what I'm going to leave you with here. In that channel update video, if you are one of the many, many, many people who has been waiting for Paths of Glory Part 4, watch that channel update video, because there will be news on that. I am working on it again, and I hope to have that video out. It's a large and complex project, so it's not something that I can turn around, particularly when I'm working 16 hours a day, so that happened. But that video is back in production, and I will have some more news about that in the channel update video for May. I'm also planning to do a channel update video once a month, so I've been saying that for a while too. So we'll see, but you're going to get at least 1 or 2 more videos out of me this week on YouTube. So we will see how all those things go. There is an unboxing of Space Corp for tomorrow. Check that out. There will be some kind of RPG video, probably some kind of walkthrough type deal. We'll see exactly what I decide to do with that. There's a number of things that I would like to do as far as RPG videos go, but I don't want to abandon Wargame videos either, because I love Wargames and I'm playing Wargames, but because Wargame is more structured, I feel like it wants a more structured video. This is probably total horseshit. And therefore requires a video with editing and all this other stuff. So I want to get back to the tutorial videos. I think I have a better way to present those now. But I'll talk about that in the channel update. So in the meantime, we are at 56, 57 minutes right now. So if anybody that's in the chat, and I don't know who that might be, would like to pipe in and ask any questions or just say hi or whatever, then please do so. But we are about to call it. I will be back here in this space next Sunday. Next Sunday is the 28th. Is that correct? Yes, it is. I should also say, to those of you who care, Happy Easter. It is Easter Sunday. I have today off. My wife does not. So she normally works Sundays. That's why I'm sitting here filming video instead of doing some, bunny-related thing on Easter Sunday. So happy Easter if that's your thing. So, and if it's not, then happy Sunday. And I am sorry that you have to go back to work on Monday, because I do. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, this video will be posted to YouTube when I'm done. We'll see how it's received. This is really just me talking about bullshit for an hour. I'm hoping that as we continue to do this, more people will join and we'll get questions and start to develop a community. But that did not occur this week, which is not entirely surprising. And again, I'm going to stick in this time slot for the next couple of weeks. And we'll see how it goes. If things seem like they're not picking up at all, then I might move it to, it's going to stay with Sunday, but I might move to later on Sunday. Might even move to as late as 10 or 11 p.m. on Sunday night. We'll see. It's not like I go to bed at noon, at 9 o'clock. So, but we'll see. I am willing to make adjustments, but I want to stick with this for at least a couple of months of weekly chit-chats, and we'll see how it goes. So again, everybody, thanks for watching. Check me out on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and search for Ardwulf's Lair, Ardwulf, it will come up. I'll eventually figure out how to actually work Twitch and put links in and that kind of stuff, but we have not gotten that advanced learning done yet. So stick with me, and again, thanks for watching. I will see you next week.